the inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
Despite all the bad news in the housing market over the last 4 years, we've just been hearing about it, some developers have found niches where there is a market for new development. Stay tuned. Right after the break, we'll take a look at some place that builds on a tradition of good housing. Welcome back. At a time when there is so much bad news about housing and the housing market, it's encouraging when something fresh comes out of the ground. Recently, Local 12 reporter Joe Webb found a new development in Mariemont that is successful for two reasons. First, because it embraces the breakthrough suburban vision that underpins a community that was dubbed the national exemplar in the 1920s. And second, because current expectations for housing have changed.
Rick Greiwe is developing the new Nolan Park condominiums in Mariemont, but he's working off some pretty old plans.
This was released in 1921 at the Queen City Club.
It's urban planner John Nolan's design for Mary Emery's Mariemont. It planned everything.
If you look at Mary Emery's plan, the idea was to extend the village up Miami Road for a block and extend the village up here this way as well. And during the 30s and 40s, some smaller apartments got built that were very suburban in character, and that's all we're doing. We're repairing some mistakes that were made early on.
Emery's 1921 plan for Miami Road, now 29 condos called Jordan Park, were finished and all sold last year. Some of those 70-year-old apartments that were not part of the plan started coming down today to make way for Nolan Park. Like Emery and Nolan's plan, the condominiums will butt up to the sidewalk and carry the village's Tudor Revival architecture. 92 years in the making.
Why did it take so long?
You needed people to change their values, and people are valuing close-knit communities that you can walk and not have to drive to everything you need, and this is one of a kind.
The condos are targeted for empty-nested baby boomers looking for single-level units and walking distance to amenities. It's called New Urbanism. Not so new to Mariemont.
We did plagiarize some very good town planning principles.
I am joined now by Rick Greiwe, the developer of Emery and Nolan Parks. You may recognize Rick as the director of the Cincinnati Bicentennial, which created Bicentennial Commons back in the 1980s, or as the first director of Downtown Cincinnati, Inc. Rick has done a lot of things over the last 25 years and been a good friend. Rick, welcome back to Newsmakers.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Dan.
This is really interesting, especially in light of the first part of the show. We were talking about foreclosures and the difficulties in the market. How did this come about that you recognized that there was an opportunity here in Mariemont?
Well, you have to understand market trends, and these trends are going on not just with empty nesters like Joe pointed out, but young people. People want to be not just in a new home, but they want a new lifestyle, and that involves living with people of all ages, walking down the street to the restaurant or the nightclub or the shops. It's old trees, and parks that have been there for a long time. It's getting rid of all those household chores so you can have fun. And so every age group wants this, and we're identifying sites throughout the tri-state that will offer these kind of lifestyle amenities.
I was just in Boston a couple of weeks ago for vacation, visiting friends. And in Boston, you see a lot of new construction going on. Not so much, I didn't see the sorts of things you were doing, but I saw lots of individual construction. But it's always in the little neighborhoods where there are these business districts where it's structured just the way you're talking about.
Well,
that's the point.
Well, and my company just deals exclusively in those kinds of settings. You have to have existing retail, you have to have some good bones. And there's a lot of those sites throughout Cincinnati, but you also have to understand how to work with communities. You have to identify the unique characters and characters too, but the character of the community, and then build upon that and work as a partner with these villages and towns to make the development meet their goals.
How are the units that you're building, what you're building today in 2010, 2011, would not have been built back in 1924 or 1925.
Right.
They fit into the community. They're not like those 1950s apartments, but they fit in architecturally. But how are they different?
Well, the Tudor Revival we copied on the outside to follow Mary's vision. But on the inside, they're big floor plans, 18-foot wide living rooms, 9 or 10-foot ceilings, modern finishes, beautiful appointments, and there's elevators to the garage. There's plenty of parking, all the kind of modern amenities that people expect.
And do you see, is there enough growth in this market in Mariemont, enough space where you could continue this, or do you think there's other spots in our region where this kind of housing can be developed?
Well, we're halfway through our master plan in Mariemont. We have 4 buildings. We've finished one 2 years ago that sold out. The one we're finishing here in November has 10 of the 31 units sold. And then we have another project that'll start next summer where we have 6 units sold. So, you're selling these units off of blueprints, so it's a little more difficult. Once they get done, the sales will pick up.
These aren't the blueprints, but we have some renderings and renderings are always pretty pictures.
Sure.
But they are very nice. We got 2 of them. This is one very broad view. There's a second one that we'll bring up in a minute. Okay, you sold out last year's that you finished. You've got 10 out of whatever the number was. You have 6 in one that you haven't even started yet. What about, are people able to get the loans for these? Or are the lending institutions coming in? Because we all know that's a difficult.
Yeah, we were able to overcome that obstacle with the help of Fifth Third Bank, who's our construction lender. So all those new regulations we were to break through because of the great comps from Jordan Park, which those units sold for $500,000 to $2 million. We have like two or three of the biggest homes in Mariemont in that building. The ones we're doing now are 1-bedrooms starting at $300,000 up to penthouses again. So there's every price point, and Fifth Third is going to help us get through that obstacle, and we'll be doing closings here in a few months.
So do you think that, you say you're halfway through your plan?
Yes.
How long will it take to get all the way through that plan?
There's one more building after the one that'll start next summer. We're finishing the plan all the way up off the Village Square,
right.
And there'll be 120 units total, and it'll be a 5 to 6 year build out and sell frame.
You're in this business of developing. What are you hearing other developers, former developers, what are people saying? Are we getting any place close? Are we at the bottom of the bad market? Is there hope in other places with either other types of development?
Well, there's all this pent-up demand. I mean, people have been waiting now for 4 or 5 years to make a move, and they're getting realistic about what price they should list their house for, and the county auditor helped us do that. And once you price your house at the right price, you're going to sell it. And then all the things you want to do, get rid of the yard, have this kind of lifestyle, you can find my property, and there's other condo projects throughout the tri-state that are ready to go. So we think we're in a good position when things come back, and we're counting on that pent-up demand breaking loose here in the next 2 years.
This vision of Mary Emery, John Nolan, Cincinnati has this wonderful tradition. Glendale, the first planned suburban community in the United States, 1851-52. Mariemont, Green Hills. We have this wonderful. I always throw in Spring Grove Cemetery. The people just happen to be dead there, but it's the same principles.
Exactly.
I mean, as a person, you've been interested in the history of this community. Did Mariemont just jump out at you as something special from the beginning?
Oh, I have a list of top 10 communities, and I'm working to acquire sites in all those communities, but Mariemont for sure is my number one community.
What would
it's
be
the only suburban town that has a movie theater and a boutique hotel and restaurants, and you're 10 minutes from downtown, and you don't have to go on an expressway. I mean, it just, for sure. Hyde Park, you can rattle them off. Oakley, North Side is wonderful for young people. You got
for old people too.
Loveland on the bike path. I'm working on a project out there. Madera, Madison Place, which is right next to Mariemont. Montgomery. I mean, Fort Thomas. But you got to have a little heart of a downtown to do these, because I don't have the time to do these lifestyle centers where you have to build all the retail and let the trees grow for 20 years. I'd rather go where there's existing communities that are closer in and more established.
Interesting that you put in Fort Thomas, because there you get over into northern Kentucky, and that's a community that very much has the same spirit and the same basic structure. So you're hopeful?
Very hopeful. I wouldn't be so aggressive about this product type.
Well, thank you for being here. Let me take care of something, and we'll come back right at the end.
Thank you.